What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sunshine State Outdoors episode. My name's Wade. Thanks for watching. I'm going to show you guys how to make some limb lines real quick. I promised you guys in our last video where we went catfishing on the St. Johns River that I was going to show you guys how we made our lines. And I'll kind of walk you guys through the whole process. I'll show some clips from our last fishing video and show you how we hung it. I'll explain where we hang them and why, and then what we use for bait. But the whole process is really easy. It's super cheap. I think I spent less than $30 on everything if you exclude the little tags, and I'll get to that. First thing that you're gonna need some type of rope. This is Catalua Fishing Company, or Catalua Manufacturing Company. This is size 36, tarred twisted twine. This is overkill. I'm gonna say that now. I chose to use this type of line just because it'll last longer. It's rated for 340 pounds. It's not gonna go bad after just a couple trips in the water. So they'll last a little bit, and it's the same price as any other twine. It is harder to work with, I'll admit to that. It's really hard to tie. You're gonna need some 1 ounce barrel swivels. These are just some eagle claw, or not 1 ounce, size 1. You're also gonna wanna get some circle hooks. These I just had laying around. I would recommend going with a size 5 to size 7, and then you're going to want some type of weight. Now, I've heard of people just using just nuts from Home Depot, but whatever you want to use, you're going to want to make sure it's at least 1 ounce, and then I would probably go up to 2 to 3 ounces depending on where you're fishing, but depending on the water current and the strength of the flow of where you're at. We're on the St. Johns River in Central Florida. It's nothing too crazy, especially when it's not rainy season. So I went with 1 ounce. And then, like I said, you gotta tag your lines here in Florida. You're allowed 25 lines per person, and they all have to be labeled. They have to have your name, they have to have your address. I put my phone number down. I don't think that's required, but I'd check on FWC's website. So first things first, you want to take your line. You want to get about 6 to 8 foot of line out. Cut it at an angle. And if you didn't cut it at a good enough angle, make sure you cut one, because with this twine, it's really hard to feed it through stuff sometimes. See, as soon as it comes untwisted, it becomes almost impossible. There we go. So, you're just gonna put your little sinker on there first. Now, for these, I don't use it. Next, after the sinker, just comes your little barrel swivel. I don't use any specific type of knot. I just tie a little knot. Then I actually tie another knot to follow up with it. This twine is like dang near impossible to get anything done with, just because it's so heavy, but whatever knot you can muster in there will work. Get yourself some pliers too, that helps. Like I said, I tie another knot behind it, behind my original knot, just to make sure that it's not going anywhere. I do this on all my gator hunting stuff too. Just whenever I'm dealing with heavier, thicker line, for some reason I just never trust myself. I don't know why I don't trust myself, but tie yourself a little knot, cut the tag end off, and then that's your first half. Your second half, you're going to want to take about a foot, foot and a half, 2 foot. Doesn't really have to be exact. Do the same thing. You're gonna cut yourself at a little angle. Get your hook, thread it on, tie your knot. And it's, I mean, this is such an easy way. I think I spent $30 on everything. Like I said, and it's an easy way to get the kids out. As you guys saw, we took my son out with us. He's going fishing more and more with us, but he has a blast. Tie your little secondary knot like I like doing. You don't have to do that, but if you don't trust yourself 100%, I would recommend doing it if you don't want to lose anything. And then take the end of your hooked line, tie it onto the barrel swivel. What the barrel swivel does is when you catch a catfish, that fish is going to do anything it can to get off. The swivel will just allow this line to just turn and move without getting all wrapped up and tangled as bad. I would recommend putting your line, I didn't tie it good enough. Long enough to do my little extra knot here, maybe. But I'd recommend hanging your line not in a heavily brushed area. Just that way it doesn't get tangled up in a tree or anything. But one concern when doing this in Florida is just you might have an alligator come and take your bait. But I'm pulling that as hard as I can. I ain't going anywhere. What I like doing is I'll tie myself a handle, basically just so that I can attach it to the tree super quick and easy. And I'll show you guys how we attach this to the tree right now. Fishing with mullet, finger mullet. Got it at a local bait shop. We're just going to cut them in half and then put them on our line. I'll show you guys how we're hanging them in just a second. So what I do is I tie a little handle in the line. That way I can just feed one side of my line through it and cinch it down to the tree. Doesn't have to be anything special. And then take our mullet. You can put them on there whole, but we're just gonna cut them in half just so we have a little bit more bait. Just gonna hook it straight through the top of its eyes. So find yourself a branch. Like I said, I tie that. Get a little closer here. I tie that loop in there. I can just feed my bait through, pull it up and through.
And guys, you kind of want a little bit of a branch that has some flex in it, so that
don't tie it onto like a dead branch. You want to tie it onto a branch that's gonna.
You want the branch to kind of act like a rod in a way, so that it flexes if the fish pulls on it, if possible.
Throw it in the water. It doesn't necessarily need to sit on the bottom. It just has to be in the water. I have about 8 foot of line out. The next important thing to do is you gotta tag your line. It's gotta have your name, your address. You put your phone number on there too. Now where did I attach this thing? I'm just using a zip tie to attach it. Cinch it down. Next important thing to do is get on your OnX app or whatever hunting app you use. You're going to want to drop yourself a pin exactly where you have your line. That way you can find it. Alright. Once my little guy stops moving, drop the pin, fishing, saved. Alright. Now we're off to hang some more. We're only going to put out 16 because that's all I made, and we're going to see if we can't get some fish in the boat. Well guys, thanks for liking this video. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys get out on the water soon and enjoy your time catching some catfish. Hit the like and subscribe button. We'll see you guys on the next one.